Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Paulie Eyes of Carbondale, the official coaches show of Saluki Athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
It is a championship week edition for Saluki softball as they head out to Des Moines, Iowa. It's hard to believe that it's here. Conference tournament, of course, celebrating yet another regular season championship, the number 6 in program history in terms of regular season titles. They will try to go for also the 6th tournament title this week in Des Moines. Head Coach Jen Sewell starts us off. We got a jam-packed show for you today. Coach Sewell, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On another championship. Do you really feel like you get much time to soak it in at all because of just how quickly you really do have to turn the page now to a single elimination tournament?
Yeah, I told him we met very briefly just to confirm, that it happened in right field after the game, and I said, and we can go home and take some finals, and then we'll go to Des Moines. And it is in some ways you just keep playing ball, and at this point, this is what you want to do. You want to keep rolling and stay in your rhythm. So
it is the second time in program history where Southern's been able to go back to back for a regular season championship. Just what that means, knowing there's still some chunk of this team that, of course, was part of the group a year ago, but to be really honest, it really is a completely new makeup when you look at pitching staff and how your lineup was and new names that were not used to playing, now playing. Right. That has to mean a lot, that it wasn't just you went back-to-back with virtually the same team. You've gone back-to-back with a lot of new pieces involved.
Yeah, I think, to go completely flip that roster, about half of it, and then you do value the Anna Carter, Emma Austin, Jackie Lewis, all those that had returned from that feeling. They understand that feeling, and I think they can communicate it. Like, you will not understand what it's like to go through the regular season until you've done it. But then to have, like, Mackenzie Newcomb get her first title, freshman Kiana McDowell, who, contributed a ton this year, and then you have that other pitching staff is completely, the rest of the pitching staff is freshmen. They get that championship feeling right away, So it's a nice rollover, and, that's what you want to be doing, is constantly rolling over that feeling. Okay, I understand, I can pass it along, this is what it's like. The regular season is so hard because so many things have to go well and right, and you want to think that you control a lot of those things, but maybe you don't, like weather and travel and all the things. But I felt like this team, just used their experience with the older players, but also that sort of freshness was good for us. It felt kind of spicy this year, like a new, like a new personality, a new feel, and a different way to do it. And hey, we still understand what it's like.
I think it says a lot about your team, too, to win a regular season championship when the two teams that were right on your heels in Belmont and Northern Iowa, you had to go to their place to play them. It wasn't like regardless of how you win a regular season championship, that's really hard to do with all those games. But I think it speaks volumes that your hardest series, you had to go on the road and play some against the best teams in the league this year.
And with that unbalanced schedule, you don't know what you're going to draw. And I felt like we just drew the top of the league. And we looked back through, and we, had played everyone that had finished in the top 6 or 7. And that gives us, confidence going into the tournament. I think that we've seen, and even the teams, Murray's a good team. They were hot when they came in. Evansville played well over the weekend. We had a tough time at Valpo, gave us everything they had, and we talked a lot about this year, like the target will always be on your back. And I think it's always on our back because of the history and the pedigree and things like that. To get a win over Southern is something that people can put in their pocket and remember for a long time. But I'm super proud of this team, just honestly not really looking at who we were playing, just understanding the scout and going out and trying to play clean softball.
This is somewhat a common question that people can ask. I don't want to ask it in the common way of, oh, was it a good thing that on Saturday you get a reminder before a single elimination tournament of the importance of every game? Not that you wanted to sweep over the weekend like that. That's not something you go, let's drop a game. That's asinine for what anyone wants to see. But how much, though, of a reminder for your group of, look, as you said, there's a lot of teams that have given you some fits this year, even when you've had success. It's one and done. It's not a double elimination. You have to be ready to go because at any given time you could be sent home.
Yeah, and I think, On Saturday we had a discussion. I very rarely have talked to them post-game this year because not for any reason other than, we don't need to hammer home what we're doing. We understand the plan.
Yeah.
But, there's certain people that have to do certain things for us to win the game. And people, and I tell them that when they sign to play here, you have to put up with a certain amount of pressure here. No one is going to hand it to you, but you'll be surrounded by people in the same boat. And, there's, Liss and Williams and Baker and Carter and Austin have to play well. And Newcomb and Gibson and Kiana, they have to pitch well. And we have to play defense. And I think Saturday was sort of like we just couldn't, I think Mike said it best, we couldn't get that one hit that we needed. And I saw us go a little bit towards the press, like I'm going to try too hard.
Yeah.
I think it was a good reminder of us, like, hey, we have a style that we play. When we go outside of that and we try too hard, things don't really roll for us. I thought we got under aggressive and wanted to be careful. And I think it was a little bit lingering from that loss on Sunday at Murray State, like, we don't want to get ourselves in that same boat again and thought we had a walk-off and we didn't, those types of things. So, but in the tournament, you got to go back to back to back in the position that we're in. But we've also done that, and there's people on our team that understand how to do that. So.
You don't always look at it this way just because of how you're wired, but when you think of your tenure here now as a coach and being the head coach, you've, of course, been here a lot longer just in terms of your tenure being the head coach here. What are you most proud about of what your team resembles, how they play, in terms of you go, yep, that's kind of the style, that's kind of the look that I wanted to have, knowing it probably wasn't going to look completely different for how long you've been here,
yeah.
But where you go, I'm really proud of where this program and what it resembles because this was an emphasis that I really tried to put in when you had the opportunity to be the head coach.
Yeah, I think that the culture probably in the clubhouse has remained the same in a sense, regardless of the personalities that come in, and you hear players at the top talk to the youngest players in the same way they did 10 years ago. But I think the game is evolving too, and we have to evolve with it. And I think probably the most proud I am is of our pitching culture right now and understanding that they're, 7-inning starters are not the norm anymore. And you really have to be a part of a staff. It's like a major league mentality now. You have to be able to go opener, bridge, closer at times, or opener, closer, long closer, things like that. That's really what Lauren has built here, and the personality that they have and the toughness that they've built, because to get off to the start probably that we had, especially on the mound, and then really close out understanding our roles, that's probably the best that we've done in terms of the mound. I think we knew we were always going to hit the ball and we're expected to defend. We got off to a slow start defensively, but closed out in the 970s, 980s, so the last 20 games. So pushed through that. And I felt like we just were able to go to kids and say, hey, this has to get better if we want to be in first place. And there's still that response, 17 years later, of directness and direct conversation. We talk about winning. We don't avoid the postseason conversation. I think a lot of coaches are like, yeah, our kids can't handle that. I feel like our program can handle it, and we openly talk about winning and what it takes to win.
We were recording this conversation before any of the awards come out and postseason awards, so we don't know who all is going to be first team and all that as we have this conversation right now. But we're going to get Emily Williams on the show. Amanda Knutson is going to come on as well. But Emily, I would say it would be a really big surprise if she's not the newcomer of the year in the league. She's had an outstanding year. What are you most proud about what she's done this year and how big of a role she's going to play for your team this week in Des Moines?
Yeah, her physical comeback is I don't think people understand the work she puts in behind the scenes to come back from a year off in the game is not easy at this level. Physically to come back from that. And then I think to completely change programs and say, I'm willing to start over in the nursing program to be a part of this program is something that I think will be special for a long time for us, for her. But and on top of that, just to really blend herself into this culture. Sometimes when players come in and they're highly touted and, we accepted that, we got her into the lineup, found her spot, and she really molded herself into just a really great teammate and obviously a great hitter. That's what she's here to do. And I appreciate her just coming over and being willing to do that.
She's not here to slap bunt, right?
No. No, we were talking about squeeze plays the other day, and I said, who's always good at the squeeze plays? I said, the power hitters. The power hitters can bunt like crazy. The rest of y'all, I don't know what you're doing. I said, Kayla Mossa used to squeeze bunt on people. She'd hold the home run record and the RBI record and then drop one on you, so they're legendary.
Haven't had a chance to talk about Emma Austin's accomplishment. Of course, breaking the stolen base record, a record that has stood for a long time. Just what that means to see Emma be able to break it. And look, I feel like there's always some record that I'm bringing up over the last 2 years having these conversations with you. But that has to mean a lot. And knowing that, of course, Emma being such a key leader with this team, she's going to be pivotal this week in Des Moines as well.
Yeah, and I think earlier in her career was very nervous in the big game situations. Not nervous, like she just wanted to do the best for her team. And I think it put a lot of pressure on herself to perform for the team instead of just staying within the mold that she's built. And I've seen her over the last 3 weeks just do a really good job of not pressing. Just she's Emma Austin. She can create all kinds of chaos. She has to be in the conversation as one of the top outfielders in our program ever. I think people take her for granted in what she does in center field. And then obviously to break a record, that's something for you. I said, you're going to tell your kids and your grandkids, Grandma had the stolen base record. And I was the fastest in the league. So
there's so many important pieces, as you mentioned. You described many of them, Jackie, Anna, Emma. There's others who have been a part of this tournament and know what it takes to win. Can you even put a price tag on that, on what it means to have, even though you will have some new players that will get in, they'll kind of get those tournament jitters. I think everyone always has tournament jitters for the first game because it just means so much to everyone. But to have that experience factor within your group, I mean, is there even a price tag you can put on that?
Yeah, I think about it from the perspective of other teams. Like if I was having to coach against our roster and look at that lineup and go, okay, so we've got to get through Austin all the way down through now Erin Lee, who played very well, and then here comes Sage Gran, and then here comes Amanda Knutson, who's been hitting almost 390 in the last 18. Like, after I clear Emily Williams and Addie Baker and Anna Carter, they're still – and that depth, I think, would be very intimidating, and I always tell them that. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for how scary you are at the plate, and you need to take that and continue to use it in these championship games. But I also think, they've been in that environment and look forward to it, where I think other players their nervousness goes almost towards like paralysis, where I think it's good when our team gets a little bit anxious because we really start playing a little bit more aggressive. That's kind of, we get a little louder and a little more obnoxious at times, and and I think that's why you see us score in big runs and make big plays. That adrenaline is good for us.
Whenever I watch your team play, and I have the chance, I always just love just looking at interactions and seeing how people are throughout games. And you're very stoic. Not a ton of emotion gets shown at times. It doesn't mean there will be times where you interject to argue calls. It's not what I'm referring to. That where you could still show emotion. But I also want to know, Coach Sewell, because what's so great about getting to know coaches like yourself is the competitor inside of you is still like it was back when you were your player's age.
Yeah.
When you do get the tournament time and hey, it's win or go home. It's time to get to another regional. The competitor inside of Jen Sewell still. How would you describe it? Like, what are your emotions like this week when hey, this is what we work towards all year long to have this opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's my job to be the even one. And, I think if I'm too high, that would probably spook them. Or if I'm too low, that would probably spook them. I was a catcher for a reason. Lauren and I joke about this all the time. Like, there's pitcher personality and there's catcher personality. I think my job is to kind of continue to give perspective throughout the tournament. Like, hey, understand who you are. Make sure you stick with your plan. Let's not, go outside of ourselves. But as a competitor, to this day, I mean, it's probably why I shouldn't play pickleball or anything like that, because I'm just going to smash it on, what I think I can do, and the competitor in me maybe don't match anymore physically. But I think being a competitor is a benefit in a lot of ways. You know, I think these players will understand when they go get a job and they're up against, you know, they're a lawyer, or a judge, or a farmer, or a teacher, you know, it's going to get competitive, and they're going to be able to draw on that. But I think that's why we're all still in coaching, right? It's like I can tap into that still, and we can talk about, you know, being competitive on all the things, you know, and also being a great teammate at the same time. So for me, I would still, luckily, I've probably withdrawn from a lot of sports and things, and, you know, I had CrossFitted at times, and I just needed to say no, because when I get you, you know, in a moment where I think I've got you beat, I'm going to put the hammer down. Like, that's, I'm probably not going to show it, but woman versus woman, I'm gonna get you. So I think that's part of the fun of it, in teaching players how to say, make another team back down. So.
Have you ever put the hammer down on Mike Trude in pickleball?
No, I don't. Probably Mike and I should play on the same team. Is what I'm
that
thinking.
would be amazing.
You know, I think we equal each other probably in wins and wanting to win.
You saying that, I know, just sent so much nerves down Dan Clark's back, and Nathan Frame, and all the football staff, that they love to give Trude a hard time every now and then.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Trude and Sewell, that could be a really good tandem.
I lost an Achilles tendon on Allen Fieldhouse playing pickup basketball 2-on-2 because I was challenged by the strength coach, who I just thought I could just whip up on, and hadn't touched a basketball in years, and it went really poorly. But if I could have gotten up, I would have scored, but I could not get off the ground. So, you know, I think about that, you know, like, I think that's why all of us coaches are still hanging out over here, and all of us that work in athletics. Like, it's a fun, competitive environment. It gets those juices going. And I think about, if I worked 8 to 5, when would the juices get flowing? You know, like, I think I would be I can sit still for a long time. It's not that. It's just, when would the juices, you know, what gets you up in the morning? So
I know you will downplay this part, Coach Sewell, but there are so many pressures that can be unseen with jobs in your role. And what you've done this year with this group is just a huge tip of the cap to you, to your staff as well, who has been right behind you. Congratulations to you and the staff. I know right now you can't really soak it in and feel like it's celebration mode, because you want to finish the job this week, but I hope you know that you've done a great job with this team this year. You no doubt deserve it. I mean, there's so much pressure that a lot of people don't see that get put on you as head coaches. I hope you know people like myself and others around here, Mike Trude, they see it. Congratulations to you and your team, and let's have a great week. Let's have another one, because if you remember, the first live show we ever did was the NCAA Regional last year. That kind of started this trend. So I want to do another one next week, Coach Sewell. Let's do it.
We talked about it in the thing. I said, you know, think about February and all the way back to March, you know. From February to May, that's the incredible climb that we've been on, and you know, those players, they joke about it, and I know it was hard, and they came all the way back, so super proud.
No question. Coach Sewell will let you get on your way. Safe travels out to Des Moines, and we appreciate the time.
Thanks, Luke.
Once again, that was head coach Jen Sewell. When we come back, we'll be joined by Emily Williams. This is the Saluki Softball Preview Show for the Valley Tournament, which is Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. Welcome, everybody, back to Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. Championship week for Saluki softball as they head out to Des Moines, Iowa for the conference tournament. Big reason why the Salukis are that #1 seed. Emily Williams joins us here this week. Yes, heck yeah, Emily. Man, what it means to let me actually backtrack. Have you had any time to really soak in that you win a regular season champion? And can you allow? I mean, maybe it was just the bus ride back, and then that's about it. Like, what it meant to get that regular season championship over the weekend.
Yeah, for me especially, like, this is my first college ring, so that's a really big deal for me. You know, I left a when I left high school, I left with a state ring, and I was a state champion, and we had broken some records there, and then I went to college, and I never really had the experience of being, one, on a team with a winning record, and two, on a team that is expected to have that winning record. And then to win yesterday, and everybody's like, we get our rings. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, this is like normal for you guys? What's going on? I was like, guys, this is crazy.
Yeah, Emma Austin and Jackie are going to have like 2 ring boxes,
Yeah.
by the time their college career is over. But it's great to have someone like you a part of this program to really be, not to say that you need to humble or anyone else, but it just reinforces how hard it is to do what this team just did, because you've been a part of teams that just unfortunately just haven't had a chance to get over that hump, let alone have a winning record. This is hard to do,
Yeah.
Emily. Why was this team able to do it?
I think we mesh so well, and like even we've had a tough couple of weeks where we haven't gotten the sweeps that we wanted, but we're still out here winning series as we should. And I think like even behind the scenes, you get done with a day and say you don't have your best day, like I didn't have my best weekend at Murray, and someone's in your corner, and that's what makes us special. I think like teams work together, but I don't think anyone can work together like we can. And so I'm just like, I'm so grateful. Like everyone has this expectation of us, and we have that expectations for ourselves, but at the same time, like we're just so supportive of each other. So
Did you know way back early in this year that you could be a newcomer of the year type of player for this team?
I was hoping to
Yeah.
do great things again with my season, and coming off of a big surgery and an entire 8 months sitting out and not being able to do anything, I was really scared. And then we got through the preseason, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing what I want to do. And I was putting way too much pressure on myself to be myself, and like I am that type of person that wants to like go all out and do everything for my team. And so in the preseason, when I wasn't able to do that, it was because I was focusing too much on what I wasn't doing and what I felt that I couldn't do because of my surgery, instead of what I can do for this team. And so now that I'm sitting here at this point and I've done a lot of great things this year, I'm just so grateful that I've had Jen and our coaching staff and Ken meet in the weight room, like everybody. I've had so much support here that I wouldn't have had if I didn't transfer. So
We have spotlighted early on in the year when you came on the show. Tells you how great of a year you had when you're on the show twice. But you're documenting of how long of a road this has been for you to get back to being healthy. Right now, in terms of just how you feel, can you even describe of how far you've come and comparing that feeling of where maybe you once were in February?
yeah, like even in the fall, we were kind of, okay, so Emily's gonna do this much, and then like I might play 2 to 3 innings in the fall, and then like sit and stay healthy. And like we were just kind of getting that balance of, okay, how much can we do now just to test the waters and see where she's at and not push it too far. And then we got into February, and we were feeling like, oh, this is gonna be tough. And then I did end up getting cortisone in March, which was nice, to kind of help push it through, and that was something that my surgeon recommended. But just like the intensity of this kind of season is a lot, and like even though we don't play a ton of midweeks, we go hard every week.
Yeah.
And so I was really not expecting to be able to do as much as I've done. And then like we've kind of had to pick the balance. Okay, on day 3 of a series, what's Emily's swing going to look like compared to day 1? I might not have as much power in the back. I might not have as much mobility. So what are we going to do to combat that so I can still hit the ball hard and get RBIs?
What's it say about this team? Not just in terms of what you all have overcome from the early season adversity. We talked a lot about that throughout the show this year. But it's when you had to play Belmont, you had to go on the road. When you had to play Northern Iowa, you had to go on the road. The teams that were nipping at your heels, you had to go to their fields to play them this year. Not to say that makes you tougher or more prepared for this week, but how in a way has that made the regular season championship a little sweeter, knowing it wasn't like all the top teams you were able to get at Charlotte West, and we know how great of a home environment it is here. It was, you really had to go out and earn it on the road this year.
Yeah, and I think that makes it all the more rewarding, to not be in your own environment and still kind of take over a place with your energy and with your presence, like as a team. I think that's really special, and that's something that I feel like only we can do. And, we after we won yesterday, we were like, remember when we were 1-12?
Yes.
If you would have told us in February that this is where we would be right now, I would have been like, oh, thank goodness, because but like we weren't initially, like we weren't worried, but just to look back and to think of like all the things people were asking us, like, are you guys okay? Like, what's going on? And we were like, guys, we're fine. Like, we are good. And like, we were 1-12 in February, and you have to struggle in February to be great in May. And so that's what, like, you don't want to peak in February and be your best in February, because then you're running out of things to use in May. So, yeah, I think we were just really excited to get back, and being on the road is tough. And I just think we have this kind of special energy that we carry with us wherever we go.
It's really rare whenever you see teams intentionally walk you to face Jackie Liz. And that shows the type of year that you've had, Emily. Where are you at in terms of mentality standpoint here in the closing stretch of the season, of not that you want to overthink anything, but what you say, man, I really like where I'm at from a standpoint of how I'm looking at the game, how I'm approaching the game, how I'm attacking the game right now with your bat?
Yeah, I think this is something me and MJ talk about a lot, is like teams want me to get myself out. They want to throw me junk because they know I'm a biter. Like, I see something that I'm not going to see a pitch normally over the heart of the plate. So I see a pitch on a corner and I'm going to go because that's all I'm going to see. So MJ and I have talked about a lot. Teams want me to get myself out, and, with a runner on, or even like as the leadoff hitter, they don't want to see me hit a ball really far, so they're going to kind of pick and choose what they're going to throw to me. So I think, like, we've been watching some film, and, like, I've been really evaluating my at-bats, and I think, like, my approach right now is to be picky, and this weekend I jumped at a lot of first pitch strikes, because Evansville was one of the first teams that threw me an inside pitch strike a lot, and so I was really ready to go. But I think, like, especially next week, we're going to see Murray or Drake. Drake we haven't seen, and Murray, obviously I struggled that weekend, so it's going to be kind of a test of time to see how well I'm going to adjust.
As a team, when you think of a lineup to win tournaments, it's almost to where it's not just relying on one or two people. It's you really need the click as a lineup. Where's the comfortability level? Where's the optimism level of 1 through 9? It's a tough lineup to navigate. Like, where do you feel as a team you're at right now in that regard of being a tough lineup? There's not an easy part to navigate in any three-part of the order that's due up in an inning.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that makes us really special in this conference, is, like, you can look at other teams and say, okay, this is the person we need to avoid, and if we avoid that person, we're fine. Like, we know our pitchers can get through lineups. Like, we know our pitchers can run over people. And so I think when you look at us in our lineup, it's kind of tough to pick and choose who you want to pitch to. Do you want to pitch to Addie Baker? Do you want to pitch to Jackie List? Do you want to pitch to Anna Carter? Do you want to pitch to me? Do you want to pitch to Aaron? Like, it's just, like, the amount of different things we can do with the ball is so insane. And then you have Amanda, who's extremely well in the bottom of the order and who's hitting the ball hard and is extremely fast. And then you have to come up and face Emma Austin and figure out a way to not let her on base if Amanda gets on. And so we're tough all around. We are so tough. And I think Mick has been hitting the ball hard. Sage has been hitting the ball hard. Like, there's not a single piece of our lineup that you can say, yeah, this is okay. So we know exactly how to pitch you at all times, because we just work so hard to avoid being predictable, I think, in the lineup.
Mackenzie Newcomb, of course, she's right there with you, being able to pick up her first ring, a championship, and what that means. You want to, of course, add another championship this week. But Mackenzie, I think everyone knew, was going to come in and be what she was. There was also optimism with what Emma could do and KT could do. What are you most proud about the Kiana McDowells and KT and Emma and what they've shown this year? I mean, everyone's proud of what Mackenzie's doing too, but that was really kind of the expectation. Maybe not so much for everybody else.
I think our pitching staff as a whole has grown so extremely much from when we started in the fall and from when we started in February. You know, like, these girls, they go out and they go hard every single day. They're so supportive of us as hitters and as defensive players. They own up to what mistakes they make, and we own up to what mistakes we make, and we work together so well. And like Gibby, she's really grown into her role, and just coming in and starting and shutting things down, so then we can bring, you know, our up ballers or our different kind of pitchers in. And Kiana is such a leader in the bullpen and in games. Like, she has really taken the younger pitchers under her wing. You know, she's the only returning pitcher in our bullpen. So for her to come in there, like we call her, like, she's the bullpen mom, you know, and she's really taken these girls under her wing and helped them understand what it is to be a Saluki pitcher. And KT, that girl is unmovable. Like, you will not see a difference on her face whether she has struck somebody out or walked somebody or a home run was just hit. Like, you are not going to see a difference on that girl. She is stone ready to go, always with a smile on her face. And so that is something that's really admirable for someone so young and so new to this kind of game. And so I think the three of them have done extremely well to support Mac and, you know, and let Mac lift them up, but also they've come in and shut some teams down. And I think that nobody really was expecting us to come out with this young of a staff and shut teams down, and we really, really have.
So it's single elimination this week, and which means, hey, any given opportunity, there's been teams that have no doubt throughout this year, whether you had to grind out some wins against Valpo. This past weekend, obviously, Evansville was able to get you all on Saturday. When you do get into this week of, hey, it's single elimination, it's not double elimination, it's win or go home. And to know this week to get to where you want to go, which is the NCAA Regional, has to be through this tournament. How do you approach it as a leader this week, Emily? And also rely on those like Jackie and Emma and others who have been through this tournament and have won it before.
Yeah, we were really stressing, even before it was tournament time, one game at a time. Postseason is postseason. Right now we're not in postseason. So now that we are in postseason, it's one game at a time. We're not looking forward to who else is winning, who else is playing well, who's playing who. It doesn't matter, because we have to play either Murray or Drake, and we have to win, and then we can worry about what's next. And so, like, we are kind of stressing to one another, and like our coaching staff is telling us, like, it's one pitch, 1 millisecond at a time. Like, there's no reason to look forward and, you know, say, ooh, this team is going to probably beat this team and then we'll probably play. Like, there's no reason, because tournament time is when things get messy and get crazy. And
Yes.
teams that haven't been playing well all year all of a sudden buck up and they're ready to go. And so I think, like, the way that I'm personally approaching this is one pitch, 1 second at a time, because it takes 1 split second for everything to change in one game. So I think I'm going to take it just 1 second at a time.
And we will see who you see first. As you said, it'll either be Drake or Murray this week in Des Moines, Iowa. Emily, it's going to be so fun to watch all of you this weekend play in the conference tournament. Congratulations on the success to this point.
Thank you.
But let's have more success to talk about next week. So it should be a fun one. Emily, safe travels, and we'll be watching this week in Des Moines.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Emily Williams joining us here on the show. We'll take a time out. When we come back, Amanda Knutson joins the program. Here to close out the show as the Salukis battle for another Valley Championship this week in Des Moines, Iowa. Amanda Knutson joins us now, fresh off a final, by the way.
Yep.
Amanda, thanks so much for the time. Oh, I mean, how are you handling the stress of winning a regular season title, tournament opportunity this week, finals? I mean, how do you handle it all right now?
I just take one thing at a time, honestly. I'm kind of lucky in a sense where I only had one in-person final, and I have the ability to take my other ones before the end of the week. So I'm not too stressed about anything, so I'm really able to focus on softball and moving forward in the week in the tournament. So, yeah.
It's been a common question that I asked Coach Sewell and Emily on the show. It's as much as you want to celebrate the regular season championship, everyone also knows our goal is bigger to get to an NCAA regional, which means you got to win the tournament this week. So how have you tried to say, we really need to celebrate this because of how far this team has gone, but also we need to lock in and know there's still more work to be done this week, Amanda?
Yeah, so I would say, winning regular season is a very big deal, and it is something to celebrate, and we do take our time to celebrate those wins, but we also know that we still have so much more to do. And I think we have gotten very good throughout this season with taking one game at a time and knowing what our end goal is. And obviously we all want to go to a regional, so really focusing on playing our best games one at a time this week and just taking advantage of the opportunities we have.
What did you take from last year that has helped you a lot this year in having a bigger role, a bigger piece of this team?
Our seniors last year definitely paved a path for us, and we definitely want to continue to make them proud and everybody who's come from this program. And we just, in the hard times, you just have to keep going, knowing that there is more opportunities ahead and learning from our mistakes and that everything's going to work out in the end for us.
You've been on a tear here the last month of the season. You've been a big reason why the lineup is now such a tough lineup to navigate. What do you credit, Amanda, just this year to perform at the level that you're performing at? To, as Coach Sewell said, they hit around 390 over the last 20 games of the year. I mean, that's scorching hot. What's been the key for you that you've tried to, whether it's your daily approach, what have you really honed in on here at the end of the season that's allowed you to play so well?
Well, throughout the season, I'm obviously playing a new position I've never played, and so that was something that I had to get comfortable with. And towards the end of the season, I have definitely learned to trust myself more, and my confidence has grown more in the position that I've been playing. And honestly, my approach in the box is just stay calm, know what I'm capable of doing, and just be confident that I belong in the lineup. And no matter the outcome, I know I'm doing the best that I can, whether that's getting a hit by pitch, getting a walk, drawing multiple pitches so that everybody can see what the pitcher is doing and really just have that battle at the plate. But mostly keeping calm has been my key.
Well, and having that cohesiveness within the lineup, 1 through 9, there's always portions. It's hard to go through a whole season, Amanda, where everybody 1 through 9 is hitting at a high clip. There's always going to be portions where there's segments of that lineup that maybe struggle at certain different parts of the year. But when you get to a tournament, you really need everybody to click. Mm-hmm. Where do you sense the group is at right now of the conference level 1 through 9, that there's not a lot of holes that you can poke in the Saluki lineup right now?
Yeah. We all have our own little things that really stand out that make it very hard for a team to navigate through our lineup, whether that's Emma or Jackie or Emily. Everybody in the lineup has something that they can take away and really gain from, and I think our confidence is there, and I think that our level of energy is a big thing, and basically what we say is pass the bat. It's just a rally thing, and I feel like even if it's just a quality at bat, whether you get on or not, it's still feeding into that energy, and that's what we really feed off of.
What do you believe this team has? I mean, there's a lot of areas where this team has improved since February, but what would you say, Amanda, has been the one thing, the key thing that, because we got better at this, it allowed us to now have the type of year that you've had?
I think it's our offense, to be honest. We know that we can hit, but obviously in the beginning of the season we weren't having those timely hits or being able to piece them together when they needed to be pieced together. And throughout the season, I think everybody has noticed that whether it's not throughout the whole game consistently, we always have a big inning where the energy is there. Everybody's fired up. Everybody wants to get a hit or get on base, and it normally always happens. And it's just what I said, passing the bat. And everybody wants to get on board. Nobody wants to feel left out. So it motivates you to want to do anything in your power to keep it going.
What can you take away? And I already asked you what were things you learned from the seniors a year ago. And even when maybe it wasn't as big of a role as you have now for the team, but there was so much that you could learn from them. What do you take away from that tournament run last year, Amanda, where, of course, you made all of our hearts a little stop at multiple times with all those dramatic comebacks. And I'm sure even for you, watching those comebacks, it was a little dramatic as well. But what can you take away from that, knowing, look, it doesn't have to look the prettiest. It doesn't have to be the least stressful. At the end of it, you got to find a way to win the game.
Yeah.
However, which way you have, find a way to win the game. How much of that do you take away from that tournament experience last year that you hope you can carry with you to the tournament this year?
Yeah, I would say it's not over until the last out. And I think that is one thing that has carried over from last season, too, is even if we are down, we know that there's still a chance for us to come back. And it's a very rare chance that we don't come back or at least put up a fight. And I feel like we're all fighters on this team. And, like, just to have the mindset of we're not going to give someone the power to outplay us or have more energy than us. And so we're just going to take it to the end of the game. Like, we're not just going to fold and give it to the other opponent and be like, oh, you beat us. No, we're going to come back, we're going to fight, and we're going to do everything in our power to continue to keep moving forward.
One of the characteristics of championship teams that I think maybe, I don't want to say gets overlooked, but it's the one commonality that may not get talked a ton about, and that's how the dugout feels constantly throughout a game. And how would you say with your group, with this team this year, whether it's games you get off to good leads, whether it's games where you got to come from behind, how would you describe the conversations you have in between innings, the energy level within that dugout of, yes, this is the level it needs to be for us to ultimately be a championship team?
Yeah, our energy source is our dugout. Our dugout is so fun to be in. And whether that's not goofing off, but like having fun, keeping it lighthearted, in between innings in our little huddle, we always say, have fun. Like we always do a little like chant thing before we break it down. And it's just a little reminder to keep it lighthearted, have fun, and this is a game that we all enjoy playing. And that, like, being in the dugout where you can be yourself and just have fun makes the game so much more fun. And I honestly think that is what accounts to a lot of our successes, is having fun in the dugout, being supportive in the dugout, being energized.
Yeah.
And I think that does play a big role.
When you think of this tournament, when you look at the league as a whole this year, Amanda, you've gone through the year, you haven't seen every team in the league, but out of the teams that you saw, I mean, going on the road at Valpo, there were some tough games that you had to grit out on the road there. Of course, Evansville this past weekend dropped a game, but again, had to find ways to win games. It doesn't matter whether you're the 1 seed or all the way down at the bottom. How would you describe the depth of the league this year and the teams you've played? Not so much of the difficulty, but of the respect factor that you have for every team, whoever you're going to play. You don't know who you're going to play yet to start off the tournament. You know it's going to be Murray or Drake. But the respect level that you all have to have for every team you play, how much you believe this team has that respect factor for everyone, regardless of who you're going to see this week in the tournament.
Yeah, this season with the league, we've been told it's very unpredictable. Like, you're not going to have a guaranteed win. You have to fight it out until the last out. It's going to be very gritty, and it's going to come down to who wants it more. And, yeah, being the 1 seed is awesome, but that doesn't make us invincible, and we have to continue to do what we've been doing and just have the mindset that it's going to take everything for another team to beat us. Like, we know going into games we're going to get everybody's best. Like, we have a big target on our back, and that's been known. And so going into that, we just have to I think we can't freak ourselves out. And I think we're very good at not doing that and staying calm and just playing the game we know how to play.
Well, you're going to have a long bus ride out to Des Moines.
Yeah.
You said you had 2 online finals. I don't know if that's what's going to take up some of your bus ride. But What are things that you and the team are going to try to do to have fun on the road to get ready for this tournament? Because you're going to have some time on the road here this week.
Yeah, the bus is a lot of fun, but then there's also the times where we all kind of keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the back of the box, so I can't, or in the back of the bus, so I can't really speak for the front of the bus. But the back of the bus, we have a lot of fun. We chit chat, we joke around. Yeah, I mean, it just depends what everyone's feeling. A lot of us sleep. I sleep. But, yeah.
Well, it's going to be a fun week this week. And the emotions of this time of year, Amanda, there is just something about it. It's hard to explain to those that can't be there. And this is my last question to you is, can you even put in the words of the emotions of a win-or-go-home game? And what it means to play in that game. And all this year, the team has always said, hey, pressure is a privilege. Mm-hmm. What it means to have the ultimate privilege to play with everything that's on the line this week. Like, can you even put in the words of, as a competitor, what that means to you? Like, what you're going to be feeling in the top of the first inning when you have your first game in the tournament this week against Murray or Drake?
Yeah. Obviously, it's very normal to feel nervous, and I think a lot of us are going to feel nervous, but that's okay. That's a normal emotion to feel going into any game, and especially with a game with high stakes. And I think everybody wants to do good for our seniors. We want our seniors to go out on a bang, and that's one thing that I feel is like I want to make our seniors proud, and I want them to be able to end their season on a good note and know that we all played to the best of our ability for them to continue their run. And, just playing in a game like that, I've had, throughout my whole career of softball, there's been so many of those games. And I think it's important to stay calm and know that it's another game, no matter the outcome and what stakes are on the line. And just knowing that we know how to play this game, and it's going to take everything for a team to come at us and try and take that away from us.
It will all start Thursday morning for the Dogs. Don't know who yet. It will be the winner of the Murray State and Drake game on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Don't have to waste time. Just get up and go.
Yeah.
Get to play on Thursday for the conference tournament in Des Moines. Amanda, congratulations on the year you've had to this point. It's been so much fun to watch this team this year have this success. Let's make sure we have at least one more trophy to bring home at the end of the week. We appreciate the time, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
That does it for Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. Big thank you to Amanda Knutson, head coach Jen Sewell, and Emily Williams for taking time to preview Saluki softball this week in Des Moines, Iowa for the Valley Tournament. Again, it will all begin for Thursday for the Dogs. Thursday at 10 a.m. The games will be on the Valley on ESPN and the Valley Championship Network, but you can also listen to the games on the Varsity Network app with Mike Trude, who'll have all the calls this weekend from Drake University. Thanks again to all those who watched the show today. Good luck to head coach Jen Sewell and the Dogs. We will be pulling for them like crazy come Thursday in the Valley Tournament. This has been Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale.
This has been Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Saluki Sports Network.